vacations are great, and you make such a wonderful point that they can be stressful too, and you have to take care to ensure, consciously and intentionally that they're not stressful. Today, I'm joined by Zach Smith. Zach is the founder of Anywhere.com, an industry disrupting worldwide travel platform, easy for me to say, committed to a stress-free travel experience and leading a movement rooted in ease, trust, and deep connection. For Zach, stress-free travel is a metaphor for something much bigger, a future of leadership, service, and systems that let people fully show up for their lives. Welcome, Zach. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Daryl. Pleasure to be here.
Really is. We were talking before we hit record here, and a couple things. One, Anywhere.com. I told you I sent it over to my wife, and we're in big time travel mode now. So very excited to explore what you have to offer. I saw a couple of things that we're looking at: Iceland, South Africa, and very excited about those two trips. So can't wait to look a little further.
That's great, and certainly it's a large, dynamic world, and to be honest, Anywhere has been an aspirational project for many years, and now it's kind of coming into its own as far as how many places we're able to facilitate travel and where we have our networks set up and established. So it's been a long, organic journey, you could say, and coming up on 20 years, actually. So
that's incredible. Wow, good for you. That's really, really cool. Well, we're going to explore it, and I know you're going to be hearing from us again. So in terms of just, what we find that lights our fire, it looks like there's a ton of things on there and a ton of places. Really is worldwide. So excited to explore that. So again, welcome. And one of the things that the first question that I like to lead with, and just in terms of our listeners and trying to help people, with showing up for their lives, is tell me about an event or a time in your life that caused you to show up in your life differently.
I would say about 9 months ago, it became sort of too hard to deny. We have established our business with a really good reputation online, a healthy word of mouth, referrals, and yet I was so convinced that I just had to prove a little bit more that people could trust us, and just more social proof, or a better phrase of this, or a different user experience in this particular spot, or something would all of a sudden fall into place and people would get it. And the truth is, no one makes decisions based on that. They make decisions based on how they feel and on the sense that they get about a business and where the faces are. And for almost 20 years, I've been behind the scenes just trying to orchestrate this business with my co-founder, who's the software engineer and has done incredible over the years building our platform up, and local experts. And really the story has been about these local experts, putting them up and giving them a profile that honors their culture, honors their role as an expert. And the truth was, the country itself, as well as the client experience, was always the mission. And I never really wanted to feed my ego and just be a sales guy. And what happened was, we started getting these interviews done from clients, and they started telling us how scared they were of using our service. And so I had to decide, oh my gosh, I actually have to put myself out there versus just put the brand out there, put the, the pretty reviews out there, nice pictures, all this competence that we were able to help people. But now it's like, okay, that wasn't enough, clearly, because people still didn't get a sense that we cared and we have their back. So either, I could just keep doing the same thing, or I could get out here and, express myself, be a friendly face, show people that this journey has been a long road, but it's natural, it's authentic. And just because you haven't heard of us doesn't mean we're trying to steal money from you and scam you, which is just like blows my mind that that's where people's heads go.
That's really interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. So, but that's not a comfortable place, right? In terms of showing up in that way, because I'm not a spotlight guy, and I know I have a podcast, but I'm doing it for reasons other than to feed myself. I want to help other people. I have a true desire to do that. And sounds like you're very similar in that regard. You just want people to have this wonderful experience, but this might be what it takes to bring it to a different level.
Yeah, and that's the journey that now I've steadily decided to embark upon. And you're right. Like, the purpose of it is to essentially make sure everyone's time is truly honored. And vacations are these very rare periods in our life, but they mean a lot. And unfortunately, a lot of what gets marketed to people is this commoditized experience of, hey, just go on this amazing vacation, and they show you one person on the beach, and then you're in a room or in a hotel with 500 rooms and a bunch of buffet lines, and you're in this industrial system,
right?
Or you're on a cruise ship and you're in this like carnival zone, and literally there's a cruise line called Carnival. I mean, it's a floating amusement park, and
Right.
that's not travel. So people have this aspiration of vacation and travel and exploration.
Excuse me.
However, it's hard to do that as life becomes more complex, because, hey, there's a lot of choices. I'm going with my kids and they have all these different preferences. This is an unfamiliar place. I don't speak the language. Who can I trust? And so we've always focused on enabling that independent-minded traveler, that peace of mind that, hey, you can get this exact trip you envision. We will work with you and co-create this moment by moment experience for you. So, there's no moment of regret. Your vacation time is honored, and it's not about a transaction. It's about an experience, and it's a feeling that you are going to have.
I love it. I really do. And that's, my wife and I have been in vacation mode of late. And, before in our lives, we're just too busy, too much going on, kids, all kinds of crazy stuff. So you're 100% right. When we go on vacation, we don't want to go to a carnival. We want to chill, know?
Yeah.
That's what we want to do. And, we've found ways to do that to a certain extent, but we also, and just as an example, I know we talked about this a little bit offline, but Iceland, if I want to see the Northern Lights and I want to get in the hot springs and all that sort of stuff, that's chilling to me. And so who can give me or show me the best way to accomplish that? And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about what you do. And another thing that caught my attention, Zach, is in your on your site, it said, stress-free travel is a metaphor for something much bigger, a future of leadership, service, and systems that let people fully show up for their lives. And so what's the thought process behind that? I feel like I know, but there's like a presence aspect to it. There's an in the now sort of tone to that, and that is a stress-free place. But what does that mean in terms of coming from anywhere.com?
Well, so there's a couple ways we approach that. From the perspective of the traveler, what that really means is typically there's one pressure point where, hey, it's the head of household or one of the spouses is responsible for making sure everybody on this trip has a great time. And everyone else is kind of just going to be a judge of, hey, is it working? Is it not working? And there's little conflict that can start to emerge in trip, pre-trip. How is this all working? And then so for that person who's responsible for their family, their loved ones, they're not able to stay in that present moment. There's some inner stress because they've typically had to go and make all these choices on their own. And they've maybe been reading all these different opinions on different websites, or they went online and booked, 5 or 6 different items independently. There's no connection of the whole experience except for that one person that is carrying it. And so we try to build that connected experience for them, give them a local insider that is aligned with everything, even the different parties and stuff. So that's what travel stress-free really means, is helping that person stay in the present moment as well as their family, so they can connect with each other and connect with the culture that they're experiencing. And we believe that that's kind of a challenge that most of the travel industry doesn't want to do. They kind of want to sell you a room and a bus ticket and access to a buffet line, and that's not travel. That's just you're in a closed system. So what we want is to make real travel easier, and so taking the stress out of that, so you can actually experience what you've imagined in a real and authentic way. So that's one side. And then operationally within our business, we are a network. So years and years and years ago, I started on the ground in Costa Rica hiring locals, and they were people that were unfamiliar with international travel, but they were really well aware of their own country, at least sometimes only their own town. But then, that's a separate thing. We would help educate them and send them to different parts of the country so they could be more informed about what a visitor would experience. But the point is helping those people really understand what it meant to show up in a new country where they didn't speak the language, didn't know anybody, and not feel alone and not feel anxious and uncertain. And so really helping that local insider put themselves in a shoe that they've never worn, a shoe of being a foreigner showing up in an unfamiliar place. And so the whole, what that generated was so much focus on always answering clients' questions, always being empathetic to whatever tone or stress might be happening in that traveler's. Like sometimes airlines get canceled and changed, and someone is expecting it to be a disaster. And when they call us and we're calm and say, no worries, we've already notified the driver, they'll be there, don't worry about it. Like, we want to be that point in which that stress and anxiety stops, because people are so almost prompted to expect the worst to happen. When one little thing gets disrupted, it's just almost like the mind just jumps ahead 10 steps. And we just want to hopefully hold that space where, no, you're coming to this country, we've got your back, you're working with us, you're connected. And so there's hundreds of examples of us doing that day in and day out that helps, I think, really like separate how people experience travel with us versus, buying access to a buffet line and just like sitting around somewhere, or trying to plan a complicated trip and feeling the pressure of doing it all yourself.
Yeah, I feel that actually when you say it, because my wife, if I were left to be the guy doing the travel stuff, it would be a disaster, because I'm just a cowboy. I'll just be like, okay, let's go here.
Yeah.
We'll catch a flight and we'll drive around or something. So my wife does all the travel planning, which is great for us, and the kids are long gone. So it's just she and I, but she takes an incredible amount of responsibility on herself to make sure, like, oh, I hope they show up. Oh, I hope that works. Oh, I hope, this and that. And I know there's an element of stress for her, and I'm pretty chill. Like, I don't really care what happens if we miss a boat, or, it's like, whatever, it's no big deal. But she takes it very seriously as the one who has planned all of this travel. And when we do a long trip away and we're out 3 weeks or something or whatever, and we're going from hotel or city to city or, whatever, there's a lot of logistics there that can get screwy.
Yeah.
So being in a position where, we have someone we can call and rely on that already knows what's going on, I mean, that would be a godsend, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the other benefit, I think, and is, yes, the presence that the planner experiences. And then you mentioned this, these trips, maybe there's 20 or 30 different services that are occurring over a 10-day or a 2-week or a 3-week period, sometimes more.
Yeah.
And that's orchestration among dozens of small businesses that we're able to enable on your behalf. And so what that does is provides a lot of liquidity for these communities and these small businesses that really do care about the guest experience. They care about these visitors that are arriving in their hometown. And it's not mass travel. It's not like, oh, we sold your family a ticket to a tour bus with 30 other people on it. And, yes, you have a guide, but he's just sitting there with a microphone yelling at you. I mean, like they're,
yeah,
it's your trip.
Can you tell I've been there? Can you tell I've been there? Guy on the bus with the microphone yelling at me. Yeah, no, it's great. No, I love it. I really do. I really do. As I think about, the stress-free, because we live in a world, and one of the things that I try to do for people is I try to help them, remove some of that stress from their life and from themselves, and so that they're an asset to themselves, but also an asset outside of themselves, in terms of just interacting in the real world. And it sounds like I'm assuming there's an element of you that has taken that on for yourself, in terms of just, hey, I want to live what I'm portraying in my business and how my business is run. And do you feel like that's the case? Is that sort of, does it all emanate from Zach as far as that stress? Not that it's always stress-free, because businesses could be horrifying sometimes, but just what you engender within yourself, and so you can bring that out to the rest of the world.
It comes with maturity, I think, and just knowing that, the clarity of mind, and just the ability to take a pause and not let the that first thought, the first sequence of emotions that come up letting that just sort of, sit for a second, certainly is something that I've learned over time. I'm still practicing, still trying to figure it out. Of course, I mean, kids test our emotions all the time. I'm a father of 2 young kids. There's little things like that. Of course, there's, things that happen like, oh, wow, this wire transfer is not showing up in 10 days. Like, that's not normal. What's going on here? That could be materially impacting to many people, including, myself and our network. But it's out of my control. I just need to, take the next step to figure out what I can do to understand it better. Okay, the bank just changed their software. There's probably a bunch of other people that are experiencing this delay. This is not a crisis. I just have to be patient. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just knowing that usually your instincts, your first thing is not always correct. Sometimes when it comes to that, and then in business, there's just so many narratives about, oh wow, there's you raise money. Oh, all these investors would love this. Oh, it could get so big so fast and all of this stuff. And, usually those things end up dying after a few years. The VCs have a 90% fail rate. So just going the organic path, knowing that it's going to be hard. There's not going to be quite as much support, but it's building for this long, durable path rather than, oh, wow, how could I, get a bigger house or, more money in my bank account, in 6 months. Like, no, like this is a long game. This is a marathon. And the way that we approach, business growth and, relationships in our network, it's meant to be long-term. It's meant to be something that, we're working together for years and years and years and years. And the more that I see what's happening out, in, the larger ecosystem of travel, the more confident I am that we're still in the right position because we're focused on the timeless things. We're focused on the things that really matter to people. And yeah, we don't have to, race against anybody except ourselves.
Yeah. That's such a wonderful perspective in business, because I was involved in a company years ago and was one of the first people in this company, and we were building and I was, did I want to make money? Of course I did. Did I want to, be okay financially and, not have to worry about finances, all that stuff? Yes. I mean, I think that's something we all, would enjoy. It just takes one of the stressors out of life. But I wasn't the guy that wanted to, acquire and bring in some of that equity and bring in the venture money and all that sort of stuff and just grow and grow, because I'm more of a culture guy. I'm more of a, like, look, let's, I want people to be smiling when they walk in the door, not grumbling and being pissed off. And so there was a little bit of a, I was the second largest shareholder, so the first largest shareholder won that argument. But it worked. A lot of people made money, that sort of thing, but we lost the culture. And the reason I'm telling that story is because when I look at what you're doing and what your company is doing, it just feels like a reprieve from an otherwise crazy world. It feels like a reprieve to be able to say, you know what, it's not all just about growth, or it's not all just about noise. It's not just all about transactions. It's about experience. And I think that's really, really cool, Zach. I do. I'm getting more and more sold on using your service, as the longer we talk, because it feels genuine, and it feels, what's the word they used today? Authentic. It feels very authentic.
Yeah. And it's, I think that just comes from what felt natural to me, having built so many cross-cultural relationships and knowing that, wow, like, why would I want to just like force people down some generic thing? And at the end of the day, you're homogenizing someone else's way of life, someone else's culture, someone else's home. And that doesn't make sense. Like, that's a short-term prospect. I mean, I believe that, hey, we're yes, I'm an American, but we're in a global village, like it or not. And the way that you keep the world peaceful is you cooperate, and you do things that benefit more than just yourself. And so that's why, we want everyone that arrives in each of these countries to feel connected to that local network. And that's really, I think, the energy that I've always wanted people to feel. And so those things, it's hard to race, and scale that immediately. You want to naturally develop it, let it emerge, let it percolate, learn, adapt, do all the different things that give it a chance to continue to organically thrive. And we don't know what the world's going to be like in 10, 20, 30 years. But if you look over the course of hundreds of years, the things that survive are natural things rather than things that are, getting a lot of fertilizer and sunlight right now. What happens in 10 years when some of that dries up? Like, they're not naturally able to exist in that environment. So sometimes that helps me feel that we're onto something. But even though it's slow.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the beauty of it, honestly. I mean, I know, and I know that doesn't, the beauty of it doesn't necessarily pay the bills, but the beauty of it pays the bills in here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of how you feel about going about your business, because, and I've been involved in other businesses, and when you take the heart and the soul out of the business, all you have is a shell that may be worth some money, but there's nothing real about it. And so I love how you are. I can just tell you're living it, which is really a very cool thing. So this is a question that I love to ask because my definition of it has changed over time. But has the definition of success changed for you over time? And if so, how?
Well, it certainly has. And I think this is a natural thing with aging. My 20-year-old self would be thrilled with my current self. But my current self is not so sure I'm going to be, thrilled 5 years from now or 10 years from now. And so I think it's important to, just, reflect and just take some stock and like, well, what is it? What is enough? Like, can I work harder and be better? Probably. And do I want to avoid it? Maybe. But should I avoid it? Will I avoid it? No, I can't. I can't avoid it because I'll be disappointing my future self. And so I think that as a parent, also you start to change your values a little bit, where your life, as long as it's stable and balanced, really becomes about providing a platform for that next generation, for your children. And so whatever world conquering feeling you might have had at some other point in your life, that starts to fade and become like, well, what is it really that important? I mean, and so, I mean, my current definition of success is more along the lines of healthy relationships, in your family and in your community, doing what you say you're going to do and showing up for them and yourself. And usually everything else just falls into place if you do those things. And every now and again, a narrative will catch a hold and it, starts to pull me, oh man, I should be doing this, should be doing that. And again, wisdom starts to also come back around and say, that's just my brain doing brain stuff. And it's not important,
No, I love it. I do. I think that's really cool. And just briefly, I've said this 1,000 times if I've said it once, but for when my younger self was, I didn't come from any money really, and so it was I wanted to make money, and I definitely wanted to do that when I was my younger self. And then I don't know how long ago it was, 20, 25 years ago, I decided that, okay, I'm making some money, I think, but it's not fulfilling. So my definition of success changed to, I wanted to wake up in the morning with a smile on my face, and everything that entails, which is relationships and health and, all that sort of stuff. So, it sounds interestingly aligned in that regard. So let's talk a little bit. I know we've talked about anywhere.com, but what would you like the audience to know about what you're doing and what's next and where to find you and all those great things?
Yeah, well, the website's a great place to start. And for us, I guess the main thing, there's a lot of different phrases I could use. I mean, travel, like real travel that is stress-free, is really a big part of like what drives me and is the purpose of the business. But I mean, just the fact that, hey, we really care about you. Like that's one of our core values, is you as an individual, your preferences, your unique self. And when we really focus on that, a lot of the other stuff falls into place because connection emerges from that. The people on the other side, the geography you'd be visiting, and the hosts that will pick you up from the airport and take you from hotel A to hotel B to destination C, they're all unique individuals that care about you also. And we care about them, and it all works together when that ecosystem is focused on what matters, which is your precious time as a visitor. And so that's it. I mean, like we don't want to, get bundled up with, a super tech business that, is just trying to facilitate a transaction. No, we're trying to facilitate a very personal experience for you. And so we take that seriously, and we want to, honor what that really means. Time is finite. You might only go to this place once in your life. We want it to be amazing. And we want you to feel so good about how that trip went that you'll consider us for future travel. And I just think that that's the very slow and steady recipe for success that we've had to use. And, little by little, we'll just keep chugging away.
That's great, Zach. And thank you for going through that and for everything that you've shared. As I sort of peer out into the world, and we get a lot of different ways to peer out into the world these days, which I think creates more and more, just angst or stress or information or whatever it is, right? It's just more stuff. And I like the idea of a respite. And I like the idea of vacations are great, and you make such a wonderful point that they can be stressful too, and you have to take care to ensure, consciously and intentionally that they're not stressful. And honestly, I don't know that we know how to do that in the best way. We can pay a little more money for a little more conveniences, but I also think that that's not wholly the answer. I think there's other answers that we don't know. So I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say, you know what, we are booking our Iceland vacation with you for the end of the year. After everything you've said and just the feel you give me as a human being, I'm very impressed with the whole package. So thank you.
Well, hey, thanks, Daryl, and please just reach out whenever you want to introduce me to your wife, or I can connect her with someone on our team who, will certainly take care of you both. And again, it's just one of these things. I really want to just relationship by relationship, try to show up, and the work that you're doing to try to give people the confidence and the presence of mind to do that for themselves day in and day out. I mean, it's hard. It's so easy to be overwhelmed in this life. It's just so easy. And there's a lot coming at us all the time. And like you mentioned about the respite, travel is our little sphere of influence, and people think of it as being just this checkout mode. But if you want to live an interesting life and you want to go explore and see different places, you have a high bar. Your expectations are really high. And I don't think that there's great ways to navigate that without the trusted support of a local insider, someone who really can put themselves in your shoes and make sure you have a great time in their country. So we're here for that, and that's what we're trying to continue to amplify. So
I love it. Well, thank you, Zach. I really appreciate you joining me today, and appreciate the wonderful conversation. And I will be in touch probably. Well, we'll either jump on the site or I'll shoot you an email this weekend and we'll get things going.
Sounds good, Daryl.
Sounds good. Thanks, Zach. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for joining us on the Show Up podcast. To learn more about me, my coaching, or my books, please feel free to visit my website, daryldittmer.com, DarylDittmer.com. Thank you.